social media. Welcome to Lakitatsharpe's famous inspirational minute. I am so happy that you have decided to join me on today. Today is September 21st. It is Thursday and the time is now around 7:51. So anyway, we're going to get going. Hi, you guys. Hello to my new subscribers. Hello to my loyal people. Hello out there and everybody. I thank you so much for watching. Well, anyway, let's get going. Check out my books over at Amazon.com. Head over to my website for more inspiration. Also, if you want me to coach you during this hour, feel free to reach out to me and I will coach you. And also, if you want to support this ministry and leave a donation, then I thank you so much. And also, well, that would be all. Okay, so anyway, let's get going. Will you still trust God when there is no sign of food coming? When will you still trust God when there is no sign of food coming? How many of you have ever been hungry? I have, plenty of times. How many of you have ever waited on food? How many of you have got impatient and grumpy and irritated because you couldn't eat? How many of you thought that maybe you wouldn't eat that day? Maybe you wouldn't have food that day? How many of you ever been in a position where you're like, you want to eat, but you can't eat? Well, anyway, let's get going. It is easy to trust God when everything is going the way that you want it to go. It is easy to trust God when everything is going right. When you have plenty of food to eat. When you have much income coming in. When you have a car to drive, when you have a nice mansion and a nice big house that you're sleeping in. It's easy to trust God when everything is coming easy. It's easy. It's easy to trust God when you are working a business and you're making money and everything is coming in the way that it's supposed to come in and everything is flowing in. It's easy. It's easy when you have everything going for you. It's easy. It's easy to trust God. It's easy. But here is the test. Here is the test. Can you trust God when there is no sign of your food coming? Can you trust God when you don't even know when you're going to have a next good meal? Can you trust God when you don't even know where your next dollar is coming from? Can you trust God when you have limited income? Can you trust God when you no longer can't sing on stage, when you no longer can perform like you used to? Can you no longer can do the things like you used to because now maybe something has happened to you and now you have to trust God for the process. You have to trust God for the healing. You have to trust God to repair you. You have to trust God all over again to get you to where you used to be. Now you got to start from the beginning. You're not operated out of 100 anymore. Now you're operating on 0. Can you trust God? Can you trust God when all of your strength has left you? And now you are weak in the knees. Your knees hurt. Your body is hurting. You are feeling weak. You can't work how you used to work. Can you still trust God? Can you still trust God when there is no sign of the rain coming? When there is no sign and you are out there plowing. You are out there sowing seeds. You're out there doing what you got to do. You out there working and toiling. You're planting in your garden. Can you trust God when there is no sign of rain? Will you still perform? Will you still get up and believe God as you moving, as you working towards making yourself better and getting yourself back to where you used to be? Will you trust Him? Will you trust Him? Will you trust Him? Will you trust God? Will you trust Him? Will you trust Him? When you trust Him, when it feels like there is no hope left in your body, there is no signs of you getting better, will you trust Him? Will you trust Him when your bank account is empty? Will you trust Him? Will you trust Him when all your credit cards are maxed out? Will you trust Him? Will you trust Him when your credit score is low? Will you trust Him? Will you trust Him when your kid just came to you and says, "Mommy, something's wrong. I don't know what it is, Mommy, but something's wrong. I don't feel good." Will you still trust Him? Will you trust Him when all hell is breaking loose in your life? Will you still trust Him? Will you still trust Him when you are abandoned? When your parents left you? When that husband left you? When that wife turned her back on you? Would you still trust Him? Will you still trust Him when you know you are destined for something, but you know there is a place that you are destined to be, but everything is coming up against you? Everything. You're seeing signs, but there's nothing. Nothing's happening. Will you still trust Him? Will you still trust Him when you get laid off at your job? when you get fired at your job. Now, you are having to go into another direction. Will you trust them? I am here to say that God is saying, do you trust me when there is no sign? When you trust me when you see no rain? Will you still trust me? Because I am God. Thank you so much for watching. We are the chosen ones. We do right. We live right. We are right. We make a lot of mistakes. But we continue to keep pushing. I will see you in the next video. The question is, will you still trust them?